This is Gabriela on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. We have a real treat for you just around the corner, and that is Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. Jeff is the owner of Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and he will be coming to you weekly to teach you more about empowered living.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeff Byrd with Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and this is Empowered Living. And I'm very pleased that you're joining me today. Looking forward to this program. This is something that's really captivated me recently because with the spring season and with the quarantine for the coronavirus, my wife and I have had a little extra time to do some gardening. And she's an extremely good gardener, and I'm just kind of her apprentice. I know a little bit and have done some in the past, but she's really good, and she's teaching me a lot of things. And the things that she's teaching me, I'm finding very, very applicable to the season that we're in. And so that's why we're doing a series. It's been a little bit broken up because I've had some loss in the family and taken a little bit of time away. But what we're doing is we're talking about cultivating the seed or seeds, if you got more than one, of your idea. And there's a process there. It's one thing just to have an idea and it never really goes anywhere. It never gets beyond an idea, just like having a seed that never grows into anything. It just sits there and it stays a seed. But there's a process of cultivating a seed or an idea into something that's meaningful, that's fruitful, that's useful for ourselves and for other people. And so we're kind of breaking this down and taking some of the steps of growing and cultivating those seeds and applying it in the same way to our ideas. And what I want to talk about in this show for a few minutes is a concept that I had never heard of prior to the previous week. And it's something that my wife taught me because we got a bunch of herb seeds, and we've got our little indoor tray with the herb seeds, and we got some grow lights on them. We fixed up some little apparatus to give them some light, and it's been delightful to watch them grow. We've got basil and chives and thyme and a few tomatoes and things coming up, and it's neat because you see that first little sprout come up, and then it's really exciting, and you know they're doing pretty well when they give the second set of leaves. And it's neat to watch them, but one of the things we've been doing as they've gotten a little bit bigger is we've been taking them outdoors more. And my wife introduced me to this concept, and in gardening they call it hardening off. Hardening off. And this is a very important concept, and boy, do I see the applications in my life and so many of us these days. And what happens is a seed that's grown in an indoor condition where it's pretty constant temperature, lighting is about the same, it doesn't have a lot of wind or rain, we just water it gently. And you know, a seed that's grown in that condition, it's fun to watch it grow, but it may not do very well in the garden unless we expose it to this process called hardening off. See, and the way that process works is to take it outside for a little bit of time, and then each day take it outside for a little bit more time and a little bit more, and expose it to the sun and the wind and the rain and the temperature variations for a little bit of time to start with, until it gets to where it can stand being planted in a garden and being exposed to those changing, ever-changing conditions on a regular basis. So what actually happens to the plant when you do that is it develops this thicker cuticle layer on its leaves, and it prevents the loss of water that it would experience that could cause the plant to wither, to die, to become malnourished, just to not do well because of that loss. And as that layer gets a little bit thicker, it doesn't lose as much of the water that it has to have to live and to grow and to thrive. And ultimately, it allows it to be planted in the garden to grow into a full mature plant and to bear a lot of fruit if it's fruit bearing, or have a lot of flowers, or do whatever it's meant to do, and to be good at doing it, to look nice, to provide us food. And it'll never get there if it doesn't go through this process of hardening off. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Imagine that seed had feelings. And it's like, oh my goodness, here you are taking me from this nice, secure, comfortable, safe environment and putting me out into all these, unexpected and varying conditions, and it's just not a lot of fun. I don't think it would feel fun for that seed, right? And one of the things I've noticed is, and it has to keep being exposed in greater and greater quantities to that. And that must be awful. And I'll just tell you from personal life, it feels awful. I've made mention to my wife before. I'm like, my goodness, it just feels like I'm in a 15-round match with Mike Tyson or something. And it's like, boom, you get one blow and you just kind of recover from that, and boom, there's another one, and you just kind of get back on your feet from that, and boom, another one. And it's like again and again and again. It's like, what is going on? If you're a person that prays or a person of faith, you might be asking, what in the world are you doing up there? It just seems like you're not coming through on some things. It seems like this is taking a long time and it's really difficult. But here's the thing. Without going through that process for that seed, it's never going to become strong enough to be promoted to the garden. And it is the same way with us. And let me tell you that I know it's very moving even to talk about it. This is a tough lesson to learn for us when we have what seems like a loss after a loss after a loss. But what it's doing is it's causing us under each of those conditions, the more extenuated conditions, it's causing us to hold on to what really matters. Just like that seed is developing that thicker skin, cuticle layer, so it can hold on to that water. It's causing us to be able to hold on to the truth, hold on to our purpose, hold on to our mindset, hold on to reality in any condition. And once we get there, that is when we can get promoted to the garden. That's when we can become leaders that can help other people through the same thing and help them have a right mindset, help them keep going, help them have a bigger picture of what's coming, not what is at the moment, because that's often pretty miserable, right? You would agree with me, I think. If we could have a show of hands, you would agree that it can get pretty miserable, right? But there's something bigger and something better coming. And if that little seedling, and it's in its DNA, like say for a tomato, for instance, it's in its DNA to be a full, bushy, mature, fruit-bearing tomato plant. And a tomato is a fruit, by the way. It's in its DNA to do that. It's what it's made to do. And you and I are made to be at a certain level. And sometimes we would settle for a lesser level. And we have to go through this hardening process to ever be promoted to the level where we're going to be the most fulfilled, the most fruitful, and reach our greatest potential. And let me tell you, it's hard. It's just hard. And the mindset, and boy, so many things can come against us. So many thoughts can come against us to attack us, to try to get us to give up, to try to get us to settle for less, to try to get us to not keep going. But we have to fight those things and go, nope, there's a bigger picture coming. There's a better day coming. I'm being prepared for something more useful than where I'm at right now. Okay, so, and forgive me, we're still doing the social distancing thing. I'm not in the normal studio. I don't have the teleprompter with my notes in front of me, so I'm going to have to look down for a minute here at the notes. But, there's just a few things that, I want to give you on how to allow the difficulties to harden you. Now, I don't mean make you hard-hearted. That's not what we want. But to harden you up so that you can withstand them, that you're tough enough to be able to withstand these difficulties and not lose your valuable truths, your valuable mindset, and not just be drained by everything that comes along, because that's what we don't want the seedlings to do either. And the first one is, number one, is to realize that you are being developed to be promoted. If I could speak to my seedlings, I would want them to know, okay, boys, here we go. We're doing this, and it's not going to be comfortable, and it's going to be different, but it's going to end up in a promotion. I want you to be absolutely certain of that. That's what I would say to them. Okay? It's going to end up in a promotion. We're being developed to be promoted. That's number one. Okay, number two is understand that there's a greater purpose than mere comfort that lies ahead. Okay, well, we're going to be promoted for a purpose. There's a greater purpose than just being comfortable that lies ahead. We would easily, it's one of our human natural tendencies, we would settle for comfort 9 times out of 10, maybe, at least a lot of times out of 10. It's very rare that once we get comfortable that we're like, oh no, I'm going to give all of this up because I have a greater purpose to fulfill. So there's something more meaningful and more purposeful that lies ahead. Number 3, the trials, when they're understood and accepted, they're putting us ahead of the pack to become influential leaders. Okay? If we understand what's going on, and we can embrace that ourselves, it makes the trial less intense because we know the purpose for it. And when we get that mindset, we're then better able to help other people. In this day of the coronavirus, and the quarantine, it's you've probably seen these, but the statistics, boy, we as a culture are drinking a lot more. We're just trying to get more comfortable. And I'm not saying I'm against that. I'm against alcoholism, but I don't care if you have a drink. But the thing is to not use that or anything else, even if it's Netflix, if it's whatever else, to escape and dismiss the purpose for the season. You can have a good time. You can try to reach out to friends as best you can on social media and other online services, but do the best you can. But don't escape the purpose for the season. There is a purpose here. We are becoming more if we will allow that to happen. And when we become more, we can be promoted to more and we can lead more effectively. Okay, number 4, embracing the difficulties and seeing the purpose in them qualifies you to encourage and strengthen others going through difficulty. This is similar to leading, but you're not just showing the way now. You're able to encourage and strengthen. You're able to give a new vision to people. And you're able to help keep them going, keep them afloat. You can be extremely, extremely dynamic and encouraging during this time, and strengthening other people. And number 5, and this one's really, really important, is to speak the truth to yourself and to others about the trial. Everybody knows it's unpleasant, right? You don't have to go on endlessly about that. That you can pretty much assume that everybody knows that it's unpleasant. But speak the truth first to yourself. It's like in the airplane when they tell you, in the sudden event of cabin depressurization and overhead oxygen mask will fall from the ceiling. Put yours on first. Put yours on first before you try to help anybody else. Because if you don't have yours on first, you're not going to be able to help them for very long, right? So speak the truth to yourself. That's like putting that oxygen mask on. Speak the truth to yourself. Remind yourself. Talk to yourself, right? The one old country preacher said, don't let yourself talk to you. You got to talk to yourself. So we need to talk to ourselves and tell ourselves the truth and then tell other people. Keep reminding them, okay, and one of my favorite phrases these days is something good is getting ready to happen. I may not be able to see it, but I can feel it. I can sense that it's there. I may be confused on which way to go and what to do or not to do. There might be a lot of confusing things, but I know something good's getting ready to happen. Remind yourself and others of that. It'll help a lot. Okay, number 6. Remember that every challenge is teaching something that I need to learn to be better. And I need to not resent them, but to welcome them as friends. There's a verse, and I can't remember which one it is. There's a verse in Scripture, and it talks about having joy when you fall into various trials. And it says, don't resent them as intruders, but welcome them as friends. What a mindset to go, oh,